Greetings. Well, I want to give you a word today from the Bible. I want to share it with you because it's something that I prayed about yesterday and it came to me. And if you're in this orbit and you're attracted to this video, then it means it's for you too. And that's what led you here, is the message itself is for you. This is going to come from Isaiah 45. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the two leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. All right. So what I'm going to do is give you my spiritual bread, the bread of life out of this. And to clarify that, it's not the literal interpretation. It's something that you can take and use line by line. So the Lord to your anointed, Cyrus, right hand, and then you have subdue nations. Okay, there's a lot going on here, and it's all symbology. So the Lord is the governing law, and you could say it is the consciousness. It's what's happening in consciousness. Some people would say, the Lord is your unconscious mind. And this is capital L-O-R-D. There's capital L, small O-R-D, and then capital L-O-R-D. I think of that as capital L-O-R-D is consciousness, like pure awareness. And then your reflection of that, your individualization that you know that I am, your soul, that's capital L, small O-R-D. So you have the Godhead, and then the reflection, like the light hitting off of me. I'm aware of the light. My awareness is the capital L-O-R-D. My reflection of it. I see it. I am in the awareness. I know that I am. There is the I am, and then there's me. I know that I am, but ultimately, it's just I am. I know it's word salad, but I'm trying to get you to see here. You live, move, and have your being in Him. The Him is the Lord, capital L-O-R-D. You being in there, aware that you are existing, that's capital L, small O-R-D. So Cyrus, the anointed, the right hand means the power. Okay, so it says that I am is holding all the power. Pure awareness has all the power. You're the anointed. And subdue the nations means that your material five senses, the reports of all of these things happening in your world. I'm going to subdue this. God is saying whatever's going on in your life, the awareness itself is going to subdue it. It's going to do that in this video for you right now. You're going to get a shift. If you're struggling with something, you're going to break free in this video. I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the two leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. Okay, it's going to open up, right and left hemispheres. We look at things in our material way of seeing it. But in the spiritual, these allegorical stories are pointing to principle, to ideas that are eternally beyond the five senses. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron. So God said He's going to go before you and make the crooked places straight. Now, that use of the word God, and I used awareness, pure awareness, in replacement of that because it makes more sense. If you say God, you may tend to think of some angry, vengeful father in the sky with a beard. But if I say pure awareness, that's the living imagination. That is soul awareness. It's just pure awareness. So let me tell you how you can apply that. Remember when you looked in the mirror when you were a kid? right? Yeah, you looked in the kid when you were the mirror. That's actually more accurate. Remember when you looked at a kid when you were a mirror in consciousness and you saw a physical form, and then you looked at your body most recently and you noticed that, the material has changed throughout time and space, but the one that's looking is always the same. That's the pure awareness. So that pure awareness itself is what makes the crooked places straight. What is that pure awareness, and how does it work like that? Well, essentially what pure awareness does is it dissolves everything into itself. When we surrender our identity and when we recognize the truth makes us free. So here's an example of how I used this yesterday when some heavy emotional turbulence came over me. I stopped and I instantly denied the idea that I could suffer under anything that God or pure awareness, A, didn't create, B, never bestowed upon me, and C, knows nothing about. How could I suffer? No, you can't. So the denial is, it's impossible. And then I went to affirm the truth. So leaving the material human seen dream of what we think happens to us, and we go to the place of rest within ourselves, pure awareness. You can get there by meditating on the space between your thoughts, the silence between the words. It's the stillness. When you get still, be still and know that I am God. Get still. And put your attention like a laser beam in that stillness. That's the unchanging, eternal thing. And what is the unchanging and the eternal? That's principle. That's God. That's good. And all we have to do is draw upon it. If we make our bed in hell, there am I in the midst of thee. If we make our bed in heaven, there am I in the midst of thee. Hell and heaven are states of thought. They're consciousness states that we bring into our awareness. You could be sitting in the car next to me and be in heaven, and I could be in hell, or vice versa, because of how we're perceiving through our own judgments. So the thing here is the crooked places are those judgments. So God is saying, if you come into stillness, into pure awareness, I will dissolve those judgments, those crooked places. That human seen dream that you thought happened, yeah, that didn't happen. Not in my awareness. Does pure awareness know anything about human suffering? No, because it's impossible. Let's keep going and then we'll break it down a little further. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am the God of Israel. Again, see that? I will give you the treasures of the darkness, because the darkness is just bearing the light. It just bears more light for you. So you went through a hard struggle with something in the human dream. If you get still and you tune into that pure awareness, the silence, you're just observing the phenomena. You just observe with no attachment. Wow. And if there's pain, you just allow whatever you feel to be there without trying to push it away, without trying to suppress it with drugs or alcohol or sex or gambling or anything like that. Because it says, I will give you the treasures of that. So why you have to avoid running away from it is because you have to give all power to the I, to the Lord, to the pure awareness. If you run off and you run to a drug, you've just given power to a drug. You've said, you're my new God now, and that breaks the first commandment. If you try to indulge your way out of it in some way or any type of escape, all you do is perpetuate the suffering. Instead, you come into pure awareness. And it says, I'll give you the treasure of that darkness, and hidden riches of secret places, that thou may knowest that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am the God of Israel. The God. That's the God, see? Here's a perfect example. Now I got to tell you a story so you understand. It was, what, I don't even remember what year it was, 2003 maybe. I had struggled with bulimia, an eating disorder, for 5.5 years. And every single day, I was binging and purging and using these tactics, right? In an addictive cycle. I was an addict. An addict to food, and then I was using, amphetamines to kind of try to lose weight. The whole psychosis of it was playing out. I'm not good enough was underneath all of it. I'm not enough. I failed. These were really hard lessons that I was going through. My heart was hurting bad. And I get emotional even just thinking about it, because there's still some aspects of that will play out in my life now that I have to allow to heal. And that's okay. Because this is how you heal it. I'm just showing myself in front of you. I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just inviting you to see what I'm doing based on what the Word shows me. And because it's a principle, it'll work for you too. So I take my sadness and my grief, and I just get still, just like I did back when I had this eating disorder. So I was going through the issue of binging on this New Year's Eve party night. The Green Bay Packers were playing. There were a lot of people. I was in my girlfriend's basement at the time. We lived downstairs in her parents' house. I had a few drinks. Back then I used alcohol a little bit, and I started to binge and do the thing. And I remembered there was a part of me that just knew that I had to stop associating my identity with the person that was doing these actions and then labeling them as bad or giving them a name. So what I did was I just became still within my own consciousness. Yes, even in spite of having a few drinks, even in spite of indulging, I watched myself unattached go through all the motions, and as the pain came up, the pain that was driving all of it, I just became awareness with no judgment. And I took the power away from that eating disorder. I said, whoever made up the idea of an eating disorder, why is it a thing? What if it's just an action I'm taking because I'm feeling something and I'm trying to escape it? So what is this thing that I'm feeling? And does it actually mean anything? And I said, well, no, it doesn't mean anything. It's just phenomenon. It's just something that I'm observing, but I'm giving it all this power and label and judgment. And I'm not going to do that anymore. So instead, I gave that power back to God, or to pure awareness. And what is that power? My affection, my love, my attention. I took my attention off of the label. I'm not a bulimic. I'm just doing a thing. And the thing has no meaning. The thing has no meaning. Remember that. When you change the meaning, you change the outcome. Say that again. When you change the meaning, you change the outcome. So I changed the meaning. I observed myself go through all the actions, and I just remained in that secret place right here that it talked about. And I was holding on to pure awareness, like this is the real me. I'm consciousness. I had returned home to the Father's house. I came home and essentially laid down at the feet of the Most High, all in thought while this was going down. So the human man is binging, he's throwing up, and I'm sitting back watching, still, unattached, giving it no more power through any meaning. I took the meaning away from it. The next day I woke up. I knew something was different, but I had not even yet realized what had happened. 3 weeks later, I had not had one single episode of binging and purging. After 5.5 years of failing, I couldn't get over this thing. After 5.5 years of failing day in and day out, multiple times a day, this would happen. I hadn't even had the urge to do it. The power of God set me free. And I just showed you how I did it. So right now, I take myself here again. And certain events and things that have happened recently have triggered a lot of the underlying accumulated stuff that I've been holding on to. And perhaps, I've been trying to escape all this stuff recently again in another cycle of, well, I'll just become a workaholic this time, or I'll just fitness my way out of it, or I'll just distract myself constantly by searching for more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge. You don't need more knowledge. That's a distraction too. You just need to be still. That's what I'm doing. So yesterday, boy, I hit like a rock bottom phase. I hit a low. And this low was something where it was gut-wrenching. And then I stopped and I pulled over, took some space, and I said, it can't be. And this is the style of F.L. Rawson, how he taught us to pray. This is what I will teach, and I will keep giving to the world because it works. It sets you free. And that's why I do it. I don't do it for the money. Although a person should be compensated for their work. But because I can get still about that too, I can always demonstrate supply and work and all the other things, because if I know where God is and I know how to get to God, I can always have whatever I need. And it's the same path for that too. So why do I show you? Because if I don't teach what I know, I won't keep what I know. The universal principle says that if you don't give, you don't get to keep. If you are poor in your money, it's because you're stingy. You don't see yourself as the source of abundance. Therefore, you don't give freely and fearlessly. And so therefore, you lack because you are in the state of being of lack. You have a dollar store mentality versus a Midas touch mentality. You think God is limited because what you see through the ego is limited, where all you have to do is be still and know that whatever you put out comes back. And to the measure you put it out is how it comes back. And you have to put God first, because otherwise you break the first commandment. And this applies across the board to everything. It even applies to relationships. So let me share with you about that. And I'm really, really good at showing this, and you can do it. And I know because I've done it, again, through the principle, and you can do it too. So let me digress a minute. If it's about money, my recommendation is you got to put God first. Tithing is the way to do it, biblically speaking, but you have to do it with your whole heart, not just your mechanical using God as a lottery or a casino. You have to love God. And if you don't know where to tithe, you got to pray about that. I'm not going to get into it. It's not the right moment for that. If you want a relationship, here's what happened. The reason why your relationships were broken in the past is because you thought other people were actually there. When in truth, all you ever relate to is God. See, the light and its reflection is the only creation there is. There's only one God and one man. And if you will have only one God and one man, you will not have relating problems unless you misunderstand the dynamic of that relationship. So the moment everything breaks down in a loving relationship, let's say you fall in love and then you're in this honeymoon phase, and then the narcissistic codependent cycle starts, consuming your ego personality, the new supply gets you high for a season because it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. This is a drug. All you are is an addict that is chasing after the next fix. That's all you are. And you have to come to terms with that, and you have to be willing to supersede that. Otherwise, you're going to get the inevitable breakup and fallout and heartache and all that stuff. And that will perpetuate as long as you allow it to. It's just an addictive cycle. Once you decide that God is the only and there is none beside him, which is what the Bible says, you have to adhere to that. And here's how you do it. You think of the source within, pure awareness, consciousness itself, knowing that it's complete. It lacks for nothing. And because it is love, and the nature of love is to give, it gives, and it lifts burdens. And it never keeps a record of wrong. If somebody is keeping a record of wrong, it means that they are not in alignment with love. It always sets free. That's what it does. It lifts burdens, it sets free, and it gives. That's the nature of love, and it protects. Isn't that beautiful? Love is such a wonderful thing, and love is another synonym for God. So this pure awareness, this right here that it talks about, when it says, the right hand I have holden, in the first verse, and it's going to loose all these burdens, right? Loose the loins. That's what it's telling you. It says, I'm love, and I will set you free from all of your human troubles. But you have to come on to me. So in the relating experience, you can go to the human scene and you can say, well, I got to play the game. I got to trick somebody into loving me. That's what the human game is. I got to trick them. False expectation equals love. That's the culture code in the United States. But again, I just described what that is. That's a narcissistic codependent relationship. That's why it's false expectation. The narcissist is a drug addict looking for supply, and the codependent is a victim and a victim pleaser. They always come together, and then they get high on each other's supply for a short season until they see cracks in the presentation, and then it triggers the very trauma that they haven't yet healed. And the very trauma that they haven't yet healed, all they'd have to do is just get still and know that they're God. And so let's get to that point now. Let's skip the whole part of trying to build the relationship with somebody that is not even there, and know that you're only relating to God, and God takes perfect form and clothes himself as whatever you need in that moment. And then you take the face and the personality and all of their history and all that off the table, and you say, the only person I ever experienced show up in my life was God, showing me what I'm holding on to inside. That's it. So then you go to the source, you go to pure awareness, and you recognize that being in togetherness, write this down, love is demonstrating itself as being, which is the source, in togetherness. So it's the experience of the oneness in togetherness, which is harmonious relating. So you go to your thought to the oneness, and you recognize that in your imagination, which is the real life that you come from, you live in imagination. There's nothing but imagination. The human carcass, the human empty vessel, the tomb of yesterday that we look back to is not life. It is the shadow of life. So we go to life, we go to the source, and we see the perfect relating that's happening by mentally constructing the highest concept of good in our thought, in spirit, which is imagination. So mentally, what that looks like is, imagine yourself right now, and I'm going to show you how to manifest the love of your life right now, and you'll have it in no time at all. Close your eyes. Do you want this? I'll show you how to do it. And I'm going to take you into a meditative state so that you will never lack for love again. No matter what, you'll never lack. You'll be filled. Doesn't matter what you look like in the mirror, none of that stuff matters. Love is given to you and it can't be taken away. That's a fact. So you close your eyes and follow with me on this meditation. In a ball of white light, go into your heart center. Now in this ball of white light, go down through your feet, go down into the earth, gather up the core grounding energies. Why are we doing this? We're getting into a deep meditative state, and this allows you to commune with the divine mind. Now, you come up in this ball of white light up through your feet, up and out the top of your head. Go up into the clouds, up into the sky, go through the dark and the light, go through a thick substance called the laws, and go up into the pure awareness that we talked about. The eternal you. The presence that was there when you were a child looking at yourself in the mirror. The same presence that never changed, that looked at yourself in the most recent time you've seen yourself in the mirror. The presence that's observing. Pure awareness. Dissolve all sense of ego and history into the now space of pure awareness. Now deny whatever seems to have troubled you. There is no loss of love anywhere in existence. Just repeat after me. There is no loss of love anywhere in existence. Doesn't matter what so-called memory you think happened. Love was always ever present as the only law, the only truth, and the only substance. Now, go ahead and mentally imagine yourself being fulfilled. And what I mean by that is, see yourself in a healthy, harmonious body, a spiritual body. Imagining yourself perfect. To the best of your ability, that's all is required. Your vision will never match my vision because we are individual. But your highest version of you, this is where you go. Mentally rest on this highest version of you here in this meditation space. Contemplate the qualities of this person. Joyful, loving, abundant, truthful, honest, heck, irresistibly attractive. There's nothing more attractive than God. And your highest concept of this good is you clothing yourself in righteousness. The secret place of the Most High is where you are right now. Now, bring unto yourself that which you long for and desire. See that you already have the love of your life by taking possession of it right now. Mentally see this person in your mind with you. And think of them not as human vanity, but as the qualities you want to experience, reflecting back to you. Loving, gentle, kind, peace-filled, harmonious, playful, whatever it is. Mentally relate to these spiritual qualities right now and love them. You already are complete with this being in togetherness, in this consciousness. And therefore, when you realize that this consciousness is true life, and that whatever seems to have happened out there was simply because you broke the first commandment and you left this consciousness, which is your inner world, and like the prodigal son, you went off into the foreign land with the foreign people, and you carried their burdens, and you became a slave. But now you've returned home, and the Father put on the finest robe. This is you, what you've done right now. Now you are mentally with this person in your thought, this person that loves you wholeheartedly and has forever been your person for eternity. Now, recognize how this is the principal thing. Wisdom has reached you. And just like the sun shines its rays outward, the ray of this vibration emanates out of your human thought now. And therefore it activates a vibrational field. And that vibrational field surrounds itself with electromagnetic particles. And what we call material reality is not material at all. It's an illusion of dancing motes of dust in a beam of light. And as we reshape our consciousness and tune into alignment with what we really want, we have just created an alternate universe, an alternate reality, a different timeline. Now, the last thing you do is you must pray without ceasing. So we'll come out of our meditative state now, because you've already taken mental possession of that which you are. You have claimed your inheritance. It's already yours. Cleanse yourself off in a golden light and bring yourself in a ball of white light down through your head, down through your feet, down into the earth. Gather up the core grounding energies. Come back up and open your eyes. Now, to pray without ceasing means that you will live as the reflection, get this, you in the outer man, this material version, will live already fulfilled, which means if you are sitting in a room right now, that which you saw in completeness is right there with you right now. Imagine it. That person is with you now. That person loves you forever. They are eternally yours. Take them with you wherever you go. Take them on your errands today when you go. Take them to the office. Take them wherever. And every moment that you're not distracted by worldly concerns, rejoice in the being in togetherness that your consciousness is. And in a short time, according to human thought, that which is here will materialize and walk right into your outwardly world, because it is principle and attribute. Since you have taken possession of it in light, the illumination in mind has claimed it, then it will radiate out, and by means of rarefaction, it will create a shadow and it will come into your material world. Now, lest your feet stumble and you sin again, you will maintain this perfection. And what I mean by that is, if you think that the shadow, which is the material person, is the truth, and you give the power of I am, your spirit, by loving the shadow versus the spirit, and you break the first commandment again, then you will experience the fallout again. Because God says, I am God and there is none beside me. And when you say, oh, but I'm in love with this material person, then you have just unconsciously slipped into the abusive pattern of denying the self. So you return back to this again every time, and you do exactly what I just showed you. And then you've given all power back to God, and you've restored the first commandment, and then God, by grace, sets you free from your human trouble, your narcissistic, codependent relationship cycle, or whatever you're playing out in the human through the ego personality, because you have become ignorant to the fact that there is no one else there. And because you've assumed that there was, you were asleep in a dream, and you gave God's power to a graven image, a false idol, a dead tomb. And because you gave his power away, you eventually will lose that thing, because you've already lost it. You are the prize. There is nobody else there. Let's read more. For Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Well, you know him now. You just went and claimed possession. I am the Lord, and there is none else. Right there. There is no God beside me, which means no power. There is no love out there. There is nothing out there. You're looking at a shadow world. I have girded thee, though thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I form the light and create the darkness. I make peace and create evil. What does he mean by that? Well, the light is the illumination in mind which you just went to visit. And the darkness that's formed is when the lover walks in your life. That's the darkness. The darkness is the emptiness of the external world. And the evil is the material creation. The light is consciousness. And the outside is evil, is live backwards, which means it is the darkness is the inversion of the truth. So the outer is the inversion of the inner. That's how it really works. That's what the Bible is saying. Drop down, ye heavens, from above, and let the skies pour down righteousness. God's telling you what's going to happen by you doing this meditation right now. The heavens, which you just went to, are going to drop down because of your righteousness. And let the skies pour down righteousness. Let the earth open, and let them bring forth salvation. And let righteousness spring up together. I, the Lord, have created it. Now, that is wisdom. And once you demonstrate it, one time, you will know that you will never lack for love ever again, because you are the love that you're seeking, and now you know how to do it.